I'm happy that you're here today, and there are a few people that I know, so it's very nice to meet. I'd like to start with thanking the International Focusing Institute for hosting this workshop, and with special thanks to Melanie for all her help in getting this workshop off the ground, and of course to thank all of you for coming here today. And even though we sit far apart from each other, we are here together to experience social-oriented focusing, which is SOF in short. I'm really excited that SOF is reaching out to other places in the globe. It's really a dream come true. Over the past year and a half, I have had the pleasure of bringing social-oriented focusing to the States, to Europe, to Australia, and even to North Africa. And I hope and believe that as it spreads over the globe, it will impact the lives of all those who experience it and take it forward to their families and dear ones. And usually we are very occupied with our thoughts and our emotions and our interpretations. So just for now, just for this workshop, I'd like to invite you all to, for the next 2 hours, to put your thoughts and interpretations and just aside, and just bring your attention to the center of your body, your chest, your heart, your belly, your breathing zone, and just listen to me, be with me from the middle while sensing. And if it's okay, I'll remind you from time to time to bring your awareness back to the sensations in the center of your body. So I will start with, we'll have a look at the agenda for today. So when my light meets your light, connecting from the heart with social-oriented focusing. SOF, we'll start with SOF, how it all began. Then the first experiential exercise from I space to we space without losing our boundaries. Then we'll have a short break. And then we go to the second experiential exercise, which is when my light meets your light. Then we'll have sum up, questions, sharing about, I'll tell you about an SOF Foundation course that is beginning in February. And then I'll give you an SOF skill for life. Okay. So now that we know the agenda, let's begin. In 2008, I was already a body psychotherapist. I learned focusing, which really helped me understand myself better and brought many changes to my life. But at a certain point, I felt that it was all and only about me and my inner world. Something was missing. What happens to me when I meet and interact with other people real time? How can I bring this wonderful thing that's happening between me and myself to my relationships? It was with these questions that I did a focusing session with a friend of mine, a colleague. And when it was my turn to focus, instead of focusing on my own personal subject that I had beside me, I decided to focus on what was happening here and now in this interaction with my partner, to the storm that I was experiencing inside of me from what he said in his session. But unlike focusing, I kept my eyes open. I looked directly into his eyes. While looking directly into his eyes, I took my attention inwards and I put in words what was happening inside me. At the same moment, I could really feel how I'm with the storm that's in my belly, and how by expressing it to my partner, who was the trigger for the storm, something opened, and I felt like I'm moving through the storm, through a gate, to be more than I am, and to become who I can truly be this moment. At the same time, something else, something new happened between us. It seemed like a mutual field of interaction, healing, and growth had opened for both of us. When the session was over, I knew that this is the way I want to live my life. To be present in every moment, in every interaction, moving through life's storms and contractions towards expansion and growth. So this session was a turning point in my life, and to creating and facilitating SOF processes and programs. And I haven't looked back since. Today I can say that it was a mutual creation. I created SOF and it created me. I live SOF, teach SOF, heal with SOF. So we will start with an attunement where we'll experience one of the basic skills and conditions needed for SOF to occur. And it's called from I space to we space without losing our boundaries. And I invite us all to settle down and settle into the SOF attunement, listening gently from the center of our body and to the center of our body. And sometimes I tend to say many things. You don't have to follow all the instructions. You can let the words flow in and out and feel free to follow what resonates. And I don't know how you see your screen. I see all of you on the screen. So, yeah, that's preferable that we see all of us on the screen for this attunement. During the attunement, I will invite you from time to time to open your eyes and look at the screen. And of course, as in focusing, we check if it's okay for us to do so, even if this is what I say, okay? So let's see that we're sitting comfortably, and gently we can close our eyes and take a moment to feel our body. Notice the support our body is receiving from the floor, from the chair, from the room we're sitting in. And we can take a moment to sense the touch of our clothes on our bodies, the sensation of the air on our skin. You can really take a moment to experience the outline of the body that embodies us in space. the physical boundaries that separate us from others. Just take a moment to sense the life energy in you right now. Its movement, its intention, its desire bubbling inside us. And maybe it has a felt sense or an image or a word. Just take the time to be with it and see what happens. Allow yourself to experience this sensation, this separate self in my bodily boundaries. We can sense ourselves from beneath our feet and above our head, one whole unit that has a center of its own, a spine of its own, a heart of its own, a movement, a will, a desire of its own. Really experience it. This I, this me. And just notice what felt sense is arising. And from this place, with all that you're experiencing, I invite you to very gently open your eyes and let them softly wander around the screen. See the different people that are here today, while staying connected to your inner felt sense. Just notice what happens inside you as your eyes move slowly from one person to the next. Pausing, sensing, and if you want, you can move the little arrow with your mouse and go to the top right corner of the screen to the view. There you can choose one person to enlarge, like we are face to face. It's okay. The other person doesn't know that we're enlarging them, but we don't know who's enlarging us, so it doesn't matter. Just sense what happens when we are feeling our boundaries, our spine, we are in the eye space. What happens when we meet different people? What happens inside us? Just for a while. And whatever comes up is welcome. And in a bit, I will invite you again to gently close our eyes again and go back inwards to ourselves. Just experience what is alive in us right now. Acknowledge it. Take a moment to note it in the cells of our body and our soul and our mind. Maybe we can find a symbol or a word or a sentence that captures in it the quality of this experience. And while sensing our body here and now, with our eyes closed, very gently, let's allow our attention to expand. Let's allow ourselves, experience ourselves being part of this group of people that is here today, part of a community, part of life on earth, part of the world, part of us, part of a we that is bigger than ourselves. And we can notice how the word we echoes inside. How does it feel to say, to be, to experience ourselves as part of a we that is bigger than myself? Just notice what happens in the body, what happens in the limits of the body. You can even see what will or desire arises in us, lives in us, when we are part of a group, part of a community, part of life on earth. Just sense it, this life in me and beyond me right now. Its movement, its will, maybe it has a felt sense. And I invite all of us very gently to open our eyes. Let them softly wander around the screen while letting our awareness expand to all the people on the screen, sensing ourselves being part of the group that is here today. And see what you sense happening inside us and between when we all move to the we space. I invite us all to stay connected inwards to ourselves and outwards to all of us on the screen. And just sense what happens. And maybe there's a symbol or a word or a sentence that captures this whole experience in it. This essence of being part of a bigger we. And maybe we can experience both at the same time. The I, my spine, my boundaries, and the we at the same time. Maybe. Just see how it feels. And just as a thought, maybe we can also experience being part of the beyond, life on earth. Only if it's okay. And while we stay connected inwards, I invite you to share the sensation of your experience in the chat, if it's okay. And maybe one or two people who would like to speak and share shortly this sensation, this experience, are welcome. So I'll just say that in SOF, we share while experiencing, so we can sense what is developing and changing in us and between us during the interaction. We can sense how the expression, the communication influence the connection. So if anyone would like to share by chat, you are very welcome. I'll be happy to see, to read, and if 2 or 3 people want to share by speaking, sensing and speaking at the same time, you are welcome.
I see a hand.
Hello.
Ah, Julia.
Yeah. So at first, when I was in the I space, it felt like dancing really widening and having, and at the same time, a firm border outside that kept me safe. So outside was this warm, safe border, and inside the wild dancing. And when I looked at another person, just the other person and there was some kind of curiosity about what dance we would dance together. So what would this other person like, and where would be our common ground? How would we move with each other? And then looking at all, there was the sense of power, like what could we achieve together? And at the same time, there was something in me saying, but this would really be complicated to find a common ground and a common motion. So yeah, this was both with me.
Yeah, dancing together. Thank you. Would anyone else want to share?
Thank you. In the beginning, I'm experiencing a lot of grief at the moment with the transition of my mother. And in the beginning, I went right to that space of deep grief and could really feel the power and the fathomlessness of it. And I was just being with that whole feeling. And then when you invited us to look at another person, the felt sense that came was larger, that I was larger than my perimeter. And then with the next invitation, it turned into a porousness. Then there was a flow between the different people and myself. That largeness expanded outward. And I found myself smiling. Well, there was a huge shift inside that the grief was still there. And that interconnection, that porousness, descending into the feel of it, well, the word. It was like, this might sound like a juxtaposition, and it isn't. It's like both and. The grief was there, and it wasn't paralyzing or dominating. There was sort of a buoying feeling, like in the ocean, what can float on the top, that was there. So I wasn't being pulled down. I was able to be with it and enjoy this interconnectedness that then expanded out into the universe with that last invitation. It's very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing this with us. And would anyone else want to share? Or
Hi. It really resonated with what Marie just said. I'm in a kind of a personal crisis point right now, and when we began with the feeling, I began with this felt sense of kind of being under siege, and like my walls are being stormed, and then when I looked at someone else, there was kind of a lift, and then when we started talking about float was what came to me too. This sense of like floating in, I don't know, it's like a petri dish, or like floating with all of you in this I don't know, this sense. It's like a shared felt sense or something, right? And it doesn't make the siege feeling is not going away, but it's somehow I can breathe more. I'm lightened, and I love the floating sensation. And then I saw myself smile, because I want all of you to see me smile too. I want your experience of being with me not to be the experience of being under siege, but to be, so it's kind of like it's moving back and forth for me. And I really appreciate that. I think that's something I'm hoping to find today, is a back and forth out of the trapped feeling that I have.
thank you, Eric. Well, thank you very much. I can't read English and talk at the same time, but I will read everything you wrote afterwards. I'm limited. So thank you for sharing. And we are going to have a demo of this next exercise, or how we do it in in SOF. But before we go to the demo, I'm going to show you the different stages we will go through. And in the meantime, the demonstration will be with 4 people. So I invite you to check whether you'd like to volunteer to experience this demo. And if you do, you can write your name in the chat and Melanie will see to it. When we come back from the instructions, she will tell us who volunteered. Okay? So let's see what the stages of the first exercise are. So it's from I to we without losing our boundaries. First part is I and I. Yeah? We are all 4 of us in the I space. We connect inwards to ourselves. While sensing our boundaries, we meet our partners. We sense our experience and we share one at a time. Experiencing, listening, sharing, we go back and forth. What we say influences our experience, what we hear influences our experience, so we stay connected. The second part, we move from I to we. We experience quietly what happens inside us when we move from being one in front of the other, I and I, feeling our boundaries, to being together, we. And we share what we feel is happening. Then we take the time to sense being I, my spine, my boundaries, my feet on the floor, and being we at the same time. We experience and we share while sensing. That's the second part. The third part, I, we, and the beyond. It's not so difficult. It's not so many stages that it seems. While we are in the experience of being I and being we together, we'll take it a little further to being part of the group, even if we see only 4 people, part of the community, humanity, life on earth, the world, and the beyond. And let ourselves become familiar with this sensation. We share while sensing, okay? And no worry, we don't have to remember all the stages. Melanie will put them for us in the chat, and we will be able to have a look. And in the demonstration, I will guide the process, okay? So, do we have volunteers?
Why mine's not on here?
I'll move the rest of you that you want. So now, if we need to close our eyes to connect ourselves and go into the eye space, we can. Maybe we can try to connect inwards while being with each other. We do what is most comfortable for us. And we just take the time to notice the sensation, the feeling that is in us when we meet our partners on the screen while being connected to our boundaries, our own will, our own heart, standing on our own feet or sitting. And whoever is ready to share while sensing, we will listen while sensing as well. Let ourselves influence and be influenced.
So I can feel my heart beating really fast and feeling it on my wrist and hand too, like vibrating.
Yeah, and we can notice how it echoes inside us, what we hear.
And sense right now something I'm not used to in my pattern, which is like a sense of a difficulty feeling my own boundaries and feeling within my body. And I think part of that is because of just being on the stage here. But as I open my eyes and see who I'm with, I feel safer in the we. I feel our group, and there's a safety in that. And I didn't expect that, and I'm appreciating it.
Yeah, what both of you said really resonates. I had also that heart beating, I think some nervousness. And like inside when my eyes were closed a bit, felt like a tug of war a little bit inside. And then when I opened them and connected, it was like, like a sigh of relief is what it feels like.
Hmm. Yeah. So when Julia was speaking, I could really feel my heartbeat and this tension. And then when Ryan said the word we, something was like, we, excitement. And then when Maria spoke, I could feel like an inner smile. Yeah, and there's like a thought, if this is what I'm experiencing in the I space, what will I experience in the we space? So let's move to the we space. Just like it's almost happening naturally, but let our awareness expand. See what happens when we use the word we. What awakens inside, and whoever's willing.
Yeah. So at first, seeing you, there was a feeling of tenderness in me. And when you said the we, I felt like tears were coming in my eyes, and there was some relief. Just something that couldn't, so it's so good, something me couldn't believe it.
I sense us here together, sort of like traveling together, like maybe in a car, family car. And I have this sense of us here together and a sense of safety in that. And right now I'm the label we just doesn't fit for me for some reason. Like we're together and I sense that, but I just don't want to use that term for it right now.
So what came for me was, when you were speaking, it was when you used the word we, the word that came was like foundation. And then Julia, when you were speaking, what happened is like it resonated, what you were saying resonated in a way that it shifted that the foundation, which is usually me, and when I go to my grounded space and replenishing and all that normal focusing and my mindfulness practice, it somehow flipped that the we became my foundation. Like the strength of that connection of being more through our connectedness, this interbeing, became my foundation. Yeah. And that feels like more than we as well. I like the word, and it's more than we.
So I feel this warmth in my heart. My heart is approximately from my belly button to my chin. So, but yeah. And when Julia, you said the word tears, I really felt like the remains of the eye melted, just melted. And I felt all this caring and softness. And as we were going from one to the other, I could really feel how this connection, like as if we are really precious, as if I know you, like you're really precious, but like something feels like we really know, beyond words, beyond stories. Yeah. So now take a moment to see if we can sense both the I and the us, or the we and the more together. I have my spine, my heart, my will, and us here together.
Yeah, when you said beyond stories, so what came for me was this more like this: you could be anyone, anybody in this world, and in this moment I could still feel the same feeling of connectedness. And that's a huge present to me.
Yeah, right now at this particular moment, I sense us here together, and yeah, I don't have the language for it. I mean, I could use the word we, but it just doesn't quite fit right now. It's like more than that, or beyond that, something beyond that. And at the same time, I really just didn't expect this. I already mentioned it. I don't feel just in myself as grounded as I usually like. I don't have the resources there, but this us together has become a resource. Yeah.
I'm not sure when this happened, whether it was when you were talking, Yehudit, or when Julia started talking about, my hands just came up, like holding this. I don't know. I don't really have the words for it. This wholeness, this interbeingness of connection and resourcing, deep, powerful resourcing. Sensing if there's more. Oh yeah, the other thing that I felt was like, earlier I said there was sort of a flip between my normal grounded, focusing self and presence, if you like, and this larger. And now it's like they both are and they inter, and it doesn't matter. It's not dualistic that there's one that's more or less important than the other. It's all kind of here and there at the same time as this. I don't know what the word is for it, that I'm really resting into, nourished by, and replenishing at the same time. Yeah.
So I hear all of this, and I can really connect to what is being said. And I very much experience this. You know, we need the words to both to understand ourselves and to be understood by others. But there's something so much more than the words. The words like miss something. And I really feel wanting to cherish this. And as we are right now, I invite us to connect also to the beyond, whatever that means, while staying connected inwards and while being part of us, to connect to the beyond. Just notice.
Oh, yesterday I had a focusing session with a partner and was feeling my exhausted. I was really exhausted. And it was like being in a dark room, and suddenly there was a light, a candle shining for me, saying to me, I'm here with you. So right now I'm feeling this light, this candle shining for all of us. And yeah.
So it's come for me, Yehuda, when you invited us to sense the beyond, was an immediate kind of shutdown, because I can sense it now, because it became this thing I had to do, and do it on command. And but I sat with that as you were talking, and recognized that. Could recognize that and made it this task that I have to do. And as soon as I recognized that, there was that sense of, oh yeah, and just kind of a letting go. And it became something I actually don't have to do, and which opened up the space to sense the beyond as I look out my window and see the trees out there. It was just suddenly I was free to be with the environment, be with the space around me. It wasn't something that, that I'm going to do on command like that. It's sort of making the space for it to happen.
So as soon as you said that word beyond, my hands just went like that of their own volition. It just sort of stretched out. And then as Julia was talking, the felt sense shifted from, it didn't shift. The word that came was like this fathomlessness that just, the expansion just sort of is fathomless, going in all these different directions, multidimensionally at the same time. And then came sort of the realization that earlier, like the depth of my grief, I had used the word fathomless, and I'd been coming up quite a bit in my focusing and my meditation, and just recognizing the difference and the felt sense of that difference just made me feel really, like right now, feeling deeply grateful for this experience and the accessibility of the we and the more than the we and the fathomlessness.
So, as I said, the beyond, I could feel like this energy that I'm feeling, sensing here between us is like I can share it with this something that feels very precious. This also this movement, like you said, and when Ryan said something about not being told what to do, I really liked it because I'm the same, and I say, so it really felt like a good feeling. Yeah. So, yeah. So it even made me feel the us even stronger. Yeah. Anyhow, it's like I feel like wanting to share this wonder with the beyond. So thank you very much for being courageous and volunteering for the demonstration. And now we will invite all the other people to come, Melanie, so we see everybody. Thank you. And so, luckily enough, in social-oriented focusing, when we actually meet physically, we need to choose our partners, and that's a whole issue for itself, because will I choose? Will I be chosen? Will I wait? Will I do the step forward? Will I wait for someone else? So in the Zoom, that's no longer an issue because the computer does everything by itself. So Melanie will divide us into rooms, 4 people in each room, and the instructions will be in the chat, so they will follow us to the breakout rooms. And as Melanie said in the beginning, if there's anyone that doesn't want to experience this, so just let Melanie know, and she won't put you in a room. Yeah. So are there any questions? I'll do a quick something. We start with the I space. We move to the we space. Then we try to sense both being I and being together at the same time. And then we add the beyond, and each position, each space we experience and we share. Okay? Any questions? So we're going to take 15 minutes for this whole exercise. Marianne, you want to ask something?
Yes, thank you. So this is we do I, and then we do we, and then we put our attention to I and we, and then do we stick with I and we and include beyond?
Yeah. When we are with the I and the we expand
Okay.
a bit more to the beyond.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. And when Melanie closes the rooms, there's 1 minute extra, Melanie? Oh, yeah. Okay. So are you all ready? So welcome back, and you can take a while to see how you are right now, what is alive in you right now. If you want to write something in the chat, you are welcome. If someone wants to share something from your experience, the essence of the experience, so 1 or 2 people can share. So if anyone wants to share, just start talking, because I don't see. Yeah, and if not, it's okay.
I'll say something. I was just saying that it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience. And I felt as though we needed this more in the world, that we could really move forward into more peace if we were able to do this more. Have you done this with any big communities, Yehudit, or?
You know, I always said I focused on what's between me and taking it out to the world, but I didn't mean out to the world. I meant out of my, to, you know, Jews, Arabs, religious, non-religious. But the beyond heard me saying to the world, so the world knocked on my door.
Yeah.
I didn't. So now I need to
Yes.
focus on what's between me and taking this to.
Yes. Yes. And can you send us? Do you have any printouts that you can send us?
A book I haven't written yet.
You have a book?
Anyone
No, I'm talking
wants
about
to write my book.
sheets of paper, maybe notes, maybe
After this, Melanie will send you I think it's called a handout.
Yes, that's what I mean. A handout. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. That's what I was wondering. Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone else want to say anything before we continue?
No, I don't. Yeah, I guess I will say that I find it difficult to parse it out into I, we, and the beyond, because I don't, when I'm with others, I don't experience me apart from them. Not that there's no boundaries, but I don't I don't normally sense myself separate like that. And I work at sensing myself, them, the between, the beyond. But your exercise is really, I kind of think that's what it is. It's like practice to move our attention and take the time to be more attentive to what we're experiencing when we do that. And so I really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you have a comment about that.
So thank you, Marianne. And actually, yes, it's very important, I think, that we don't lose ourselves in interactions, and that we can connect to other people, but we can also stay anchored in our own being. And I think these are skills. These are skills that can be developed very easily. Like in SOF, really, we can learn how to shift and to it. So thank you for sharing. So I'd like to go to the presentation. So an SOF skill for life, for me, to you. During interactions in the coming days, I invite you to pause, to check what space are you in. I, we, both, I and we, the beyond. See whether you want to stay or shift to a different space. To strengthen the sense of self, sense the presence of your spine. In English it works, in Hebrew it doesn't work, because the spine is I, and I is the spine. So just take a moment and sense the spine, and our feet on the floor. Yeah, it helps coming back to the I. To strengthen the sense of togetherness, sense the presence of your heart and open arms, like this W. You can try now when I'm talking and just sense it. To be both connected to self and togetherness, sense both the we and the I, the spine and the arms and the heart at the same time. Oops. And to strengthen the connections to the beyond, just a bit to open your arms in welcome and feel the connection. So it's very physical. We don't need to do it. We can imagine it, but we can also do it. I find it very practical. So Melanie will send it to you afterwards. And benefits of SOF. Elaine?
Yes, I'll read these for you. So benefits of SOF brings the intricacy of focusing to our relationships, provides tools to deal with life situations real time.
Yeah, because in SOF, we actually do the SOFing, the focusing in the interaction. So we gradually will learn how to do it real time.
Heals unfinished social issues in our lives. Teaches us how to be in interaction in relationship, completely with ourselves and completely with the other simultaneously.
Yeah, we don't have to leave ourselves in order to be with the other. We don't need to leave the other in order to be with ourselves. We learn how to be connected both inwards and outwards at the same time.
Invites us to use conflict for personal and mutual growth.
Yeah, so it's not only that it invites us to use conflict for personal and mutual growth, but it also gives us the tools how to deal with conflict in a manner that will help us to use the conflict to mutual and personal growth.
Gives us the freedom to be our authentic selves in our closest relationships and in the world. And enables us to learn that our vulnerability is part of our uniqueness and power.
Yeah. You know, one of the things in SOF I discovered, that we all are busy hiding our vulnerability. And of course, our vulnerability and all the other things are very, very personal and unique, but they're also at the same time very universal. We all know what it feels like not to belong, to feel shame, whatever. And the walls of concealment make us feel very lonely. But how can we feel safe and powerful? By being connected to our vulnerability. Some of what students say about SOF.
SOF is a life changer. SOF is about relating to others while staying connected to yourself. Through the body, we remain intimate with our present moment experiences as we navigate I space and we space with others. I keep reading. It's the first modality I've experienced that isn't a practice you do alone, hoping that the benefits follow you into relationships. It's a modality that only exists in relationship with others. It is birthed in relational space and helps you stay home in yourself while you're in the presence of others. Over time, it gives you courage to be in relationship more stably anchored in yourself.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Elaine. I have an English assistant. She does all the heavy reading, but she has COVID, and today is the day that she's coughing very much. So thank you, Elaine, for aiding me with the reading.
Very welcome.
So now we have a 5-minute break. Okay, drink something, make yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, whatever you feel like. And we'll meet in 5 minutes. Okay? Okay. So welcome to the second part of our workshop. I hope everyone will join us shortly. I want to start with telling you a very short story. This story is actually what planted the seed of which our next exercise emerged. And again, I invite you to be with me, listen to me from your body, from your heart, from your belly, from your breathing, from within. So this happened in one of the SOF courses in 2018 in a demonstration I was doing. We were sitting one in front of the other, and the topic was when my will meets your will, which is the most daily issue. It happens to us every time. We have different wills, different desires. We want different things. Everything we do in SOF is very, as I said before, daily, unique and universal at the same time. So as we were sitting one in front of the other, sensing our body, sensing our breathing, sensing our felt sense, sensing the will, the desire, the sensations that arise. And while I'm sensing this young, fresh desire that this session with her will be very special, very meaningful, really profound, she has no will. She doesn't know how to want. And gradually, I feel how my will, how my desire is changing. All I want now is for her to want. Doesn't matter what. I feel my will is even making an effort to want instead of her, like to teach her will to want. But nothing happens. No desire awakens in her. And while breathing and sensing, I can feel how my will is giving up and surrendering and fading away, like clearing the space for something else, deeper, brighter, something primal. And it felt like entering a space of inner light that is there beneath our masks, beneath our survival patterns, beneath all our defense mechanisms. It felt like it's beneath the bandages of darkness, of all the pains and all the wounds of life. It felt like a bridge crossing the walls of shame, the walls of concealment, layers of thoughts, layers of interpretations, layers of education, of culture, of beliefs. It really felt like a bridge that is connecting her light with mine, where there aren't many words or thoughts or opinions or knowings. It felt like a precious meeting of light with light inside this inner quietness. It was really profound. So, what stops us? What prevents us from being the light that we are? What prevents us from seeing the light that is in the other? What disturbs us from being completely in the here and now with each other? So actually, in this short story about the demonstration, my strong will for this to be a meaningful meeting was the barrier for meeting her, really. And only when my will gave up and faded away, we could meet heart to heart and light to light. So let's go and see the instructions for the next exercise, when my light meets your light. So when my light meets your light, first part is preparation. We did it already. We know how to do it. We connect inwards to ourselves, sense the I space. Then we gently expand our attention and meet each other in the we space. We already know it. So part one is clearing the space between us. We sense inward what prevents us meeting each other heart to heart. And we identify the felt sense of the barrier. It can be thoughts, it can be shyness, it can be self-criticism, loads of barriers. It can be just a heavy sensation on my chest, whatever. And then we share while sensing, what does this barrier of mine need from both you and me in order to clear the space between us. Say, I have this heaviness or self-criticism or whatever I'm feeling right now that is the barrier. So I see what it needs from me and what it needs from my partner. Maybe my shyness needs from me courage, and for my partner it needs acceptance. Yeah? We come open and be prepared to be surprised. So as the space clears, we felt sense what is happening in us and between us. SOF is always in us and between us. And we go back and forth, felt sensing and sharing. And we repeat this process as needed. And what does it mean? Maybe I have no boundaries. Maybe I have a mountain of boundaries. So maybe I can see what does the mountain need for me or my partner in order to clear the space. Or maybe each time there will be a boundary that is coming up, and maybe there won't, but gradually we will clear the space and we will notice. That's the second part. When we feel there are no more boundaries between us and we are meeting from heart to heart, light to light, we go back and forth, felt sensing and sharing. Then we take a moment to connect to the beyond, if we want. And we go back and forth, felt sensing and sharing what is happening in us and between us. Then, when the time is over, you are invited to come back to the big room where we are all stay, while staying connected to all that is alive in us right now from this experience. Okay? And many times when we focus at the end of the session, we thank our body. Thank you very much for everything you allowed me to experience via you. And we tell it we'll come back whenever is the need. Here, this something is being born not in us, but between us. We are both part of the same process, and this something new is already being delivered to the interpersonal interaction. So I invite us to not to buckle up, zip up and come back, leaving it in the breakout room, but to come back with it, okay? So don't worry about instructions. As before, Melanie will put it in the chat. And is there anyone brave that wants to, I forgot to ask before, so I'm asking now, that wants to volunteer for the demonstration?
Diane actually will volunteer.
Diane?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I need to sit. I prefer standing, but I want to get closer. So. Okay, so now I want to invite you all to move the little arrow and choose the speaker view. So when I will speak, you'll see me, and when Diane will speak, you'll see Diane. Hi, Diane. But you are mute, so I don't hear you.
Hello, Yehudit.
Nice to see you. So we take a moment to connect to the eye space, sense our spine and our boundaries. And then we gently, gradually expand to the we space. Yeah. And we take a moment to notice, to sense inwards and see what prevents us from meeting each other heart to heart. And sometimes only this question creates.
Absolutely. There's in my eye space, I'm very much aware of the back of me. When it's we, definitely aware of this sense of rising up and fullness. And then what's preventing my heart is I feel like there's just a little bit of a tear that's coming here. It's just just a bit of a jaggedness.
Okay, I don't know this word. No, I don't know the previous word either, but I can go with the movement. Yeah. Yeah. So I can see all this excitement of meeting you. And I think maybe this excitement can be something that is between. So I'll take the time to experience it and see what this excitement needs from me or from you in order to clear the space. Maybe it doesn't want to clear the space. So actually this excitement is even growing from the middle of my chest to my shoulders and my arms to the we, the W. And it wants me to dare do this exercise, meet you, while I meet myself, being excited. It says, who said you need to be neutral? you can also be excited.
There's a real sense of now circle. I feel there's a connectedness of circle and just this gratitude for allowing the excitement and the vulnerability into this space between us. So I just have this sense of real, like, expansion. There's a space now we can share excitement in.
Mm.
Hmm.
Do you have anything that is kind of a barrier between us?
There's a sense of breath. There's just this little bit of a barrier is connecting more with my breath so that my breath is part of the space we share. And I just sense there's a bit of tightness in the breath. And so that I space and we space is kind of feeding the breath so the breath can flow to, yeah. Thank you for holding space for that breath to come. There's, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've got my arms like this to the side. Can't see it, but I almost feel like when a child is running to someone that is holding her arms like this. Yeah. So there's this child that is happy inside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I feel like when I heard that, it's that invitation to bring that vulnerability and that excitement and that childness in me to us, to share. And it's just this unconditional welcome that I sense here now.
Yeah. I was taking a moment to check whether this child is a barrier. And like she quickly said, don't put me aside. I will behave. I won't interfere.
I am part of.
Yeah.
Like we're, yes, there's an aliveness there.
Yeah. Now I really feel like something is opening, like there's a I don't know if it's a channel, but like a corridor. I don't know if a corridor, but something like this between us. I know you are in the other side of the world, but yeah.
Yes, it's part of, like, definitely when you said there was something opening for me because I sensed that circle, I felt like there was this thread of a web that just kind of wove its way to us. So I really sense this flowing between us.
Yeah, and when you do this movement, I feel that my is like, it's straight. No, it's just, but in this gap between the right hand and the left hand, there's as much space as you need for this movement.
Yeah. That presence of space between. It's so, there's something there in it. And the I. Okay. Thank you for holding space. There's the space that started, the web that was just here like this. Now there's a depth and distance to it. Like there's a depth to the lines, to the webs. They're no longer just lines, there's depth there.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
And it really feels like our hearts are meeting. And I think I'm wearing a dark sweater. You're wearing a light sweater, you're wearing the light, I'm wearing the darkness. But I didn't think about it in advance. And maybe we can notice if we can connect to the beyond while being with each other.
Yeah.
And just notice what happens.
Noticing more space and more movement coming from my back. But there's also just so much awareness now, not just of the space we have here right now. There's an awareness of the universe is here with us, like the sky, night and day. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can feel like there's this circle of light, one circle of light that is between us, and there's another one that is like beyond us. We are in a circle and creating a circle.
Oh, beautiful. That's the sense that I have, is there's this sense of the circle here and another circle out there, and it's just slightly moving. So it's light and dark. So much.
Yes. So I'm taking a moment to cherish this experience and to really take a moment to note it in the cells of my body, of my soul, of my mind. So I can take it with me.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, Diane.
Oh, thank you, Yehudit.
And we'll go back to seeing everybody in the gallery view. Gently. Okay, so we can have all kinds of barriers. Maybe we won't have any barriers, but even if it's happiness or delightfulness, take a moment to see whether it needs something from us, or even if it's like the little child or whatever it is, to see whether it's a barrier or not. Okay. And we will have 13 minutes for this exercise, but it's not first you and then we and then me. We go back and forth all the time. Yeah, experiencing, sharing, and we go back and forth between us. Are there any questions? No. So
I have a question.
yes.
How do you, I mean, I have an idea, but I'd like to hear you answer it. How do you work with, say, a particular barrier, say, something in your partner triggers you and it's strong. And I imagine, it might be something that you don't want to vocalize exactly. How would you work with it?
So let's imagine it's you and me, yeah? And say I am very sensitive to unshaved men. I'm not saying I am, but so I don't need to say you. I don't talk about, and thank you for asking, I don't talk about you, I talk about me. I won't say you are not shaved, and it really makes me feel wanting to scratch my chin. I will say something in me feels itchy or wants to be scratched. I don't have to say it's you, but what will happen when I say it? There will probably be a small shift. And then I will ask this something that wants to be scratched. What does it need from me and what does it need from you? So maybe for me, it will need gentleness. And maybe from you, it will need softness. I mean, I won't send you to shave. I mean, it's none of my business. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing against just for the example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the focusing language helps us. It's not I don't like. There's something in me that needs something, that is feeling this way. Okay.
And so to follow up on that, so the need from you, like when I have something, this something that's up needs something from you. Is that something I vocalize?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And maybe after I say this, that I need the softness for myself, I need I don't remember what I said. And from you, I need the softness. And then maybe it will make you feel that you need acceptance for me and from yourself to be your true self.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when I say like I need something from you, how do you handle that? That's not a cue for you to do anything, is it?
No, exactly. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to, many times we don't say what we need. We don't check what we need, not from ourselves and not from the other. Here, we are miles away from each other. I believe we all need or want to be accepted the way we are, to be seen, to be heard, But the mere fact that we are checking what it is that I need, or this barrier needs for me and from you, and putting it in words and expressing it already brings a big shift to whatever's happening inside us and between us.
Yeah.
But explore, see for yourself what happens.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so I assume whoever doesn't want to practice told Melanie. And Melanie will send us all to breakout rooms. And it's yeah, so welcome back. And I want to invite you just for a moment to connect to yourself, notice what is alive in you right now, what from all you have experienced here today you'd like to note to yourself, to remember, to take with you to your lives. And of course, you can share in the chat. And before we go to sharing and questions, and before sharing with you another SOF skill for life, I'd like to tell you about the next SOF offering, which is the foundation course level 1 that is beginning in the middle of February. So, and then we'll come back to sharing and to another skill for life. So, SOF Foundation Course Level 1 syllabus, conditions for felt conversation, being sensitive to me and to you. From shades of aloneness to shades of togetherness, we experience the different shades and how to move from one to another, from I to we without losing our boundaries. You tasted some of it today. When my will meets yours, I understand that in different places of the word will sounds different. So my wanting, my desire, my will. On both sides of request, yes, no, and all that's between them. And to see and be seen. These are all topics that most of us have issue with, and about giving and receiving. So that's the foundation course level 1. Here we really learn the basic how to do it. And the SOF level 2, we go deeper. It's the inner child in the social space, then the dependence and independence within us and between us. Then we have belonging on timeline of life. We have 3 sides of compliments and criticism. Everything is always in the social space. From jealousy to inspiration, expectations in relationships. Yeah. From the heart on conflict to the heart of relationship. I think that all the sessions until this session are a build up to deal with the conflicts, which we usually try to avoid, I believe. How can we do them in a good way, in a healing way? And SOF in times of uncertainty, which is the most certain there is, and on both sides of farewell. This is the second level. And SOF social oriented focusing with me. I'd like to invite you to an SOF course level 1. Afterwards, there's level 2. Thursdays, 6 to 8:30 p.m. Israel time, which is 11 until 1:30 a.m. New York time. It begins on February the 16th, and it's once a week. The price for 8 sessions course is $580, which is, this is the price in Israeli, and there's 10% discount on level 2 upon registering to level 1 and 2 together. This is my mail and my website. You can have a look. You don't have to worry. Melanie is going to send it all to you in the handout that will be sent at the end of our session. So I'd really be happy to see you in my class. And now I'd really want to hear if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like to share or what was meaningful for you. So you can either write it in the chat or you can release your microphone and speak.
For me, during the exercise, what surprised me, it was very different than the demonstration. What surprised me was my barrier was just a very personal experience that I'm dealing with right now. And my partner was completely, from the get-go, no barriers, felt complete, like, just that we space was very evident to him. And yet, it was hard for me to confess that my we space was not very apparent to me because of this very current need of mine. But and because I hadn't been discussed in the demo, but it was a barrier. And so I just confessed to be as explicit as possible about what the circumstance was and how it felt in my body. And just the very generous, compassionate listening of my partner began to soften that barrier in a very, wonderful and appreciative space that then allowed for that, connection. So that agitation in mind settled down to a place that was very, very subtle. And then that we space of connection, we did have just only a minute at the end to sink into that. But it was just interesting, just follow the directions and see what comes. And it worked. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. So it's less to manage to do everything in a short time. Each moment we are really present is worthwhile. So thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
I'm glad this is Diana, I'm glad you mentioned that barriers aren't necessarily negative, because I noticed that for me sometimes an inner experience of joyfulness or excitement can become a barrier because it moves me out of my body into my head, into thinking and talking, and the reminder to slow down and reconnect with ourselves, even in the midst of joy, to take a moment to step back from it, in a sense, to kind of reconnect with ourselves, and then it takes it to an even deeper level. It expands it even more to the beyond at that point, because the joy can close us, make us smaller in a funny way. Thanks.
Yeah. Like in the story, I told you that my wanting to was a barrier. Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Does anyone else want to share or to ask, or what do you feel you're taking from here today?
I just wanted to share that I just looked it up. I was trying to remember. There's a quote from Thomas Merton that I just experienced. That's if we all could really see each other as we really are, there'd be no more war, no more violence. I suppose the only problem would be that we would all be bowing down in front of each other. And I felt that
we will all what?
That we would all be we would all fall down worshiping each other. And I think what I felt in the presence of my partner was this like profound feeling of her humanness and my humanness. And I just started crying. And I feel like if I did that when I go to Starbucks, it would be a problem in line, but that it's possible with all these humans we live with. And I've never experienced anything as beautiful as that. It's really lovely, and I want to find a way to bring it into my beyond, right? So, thank you.
Oh, thank you for this, for sharing this. And yes, when I say meeting our lights, it's really a quick way to connect to this human live inside us that is beneath all the, yeah. Thank you. Marianne?
Yeah, this is a little bit of an aside, but first I will say really appreciate how grounded, I feel that's such a treasure. All your what you've done, you've guided us to always be inside our full experience, our greatest resource here. So thank you very, very much for that. I really appreciate that. And I just wanted to say, could we put our contacts in the chat? To be honest, I rarely ever have reached out to anybody afterwards, but I kind of feel we miss a community building if we don't do that.
So, please do. Please write your
contact in the chat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the chat. And Melanie is going to give you my email address. And whoever wants to get information about SOF activities or workshops or whatever, so please, yes, leave your, you can send me an email with your saying that you were in this workshop and that you're interested. And I think in 3 weeks' time or less, we're starting an SOF course. So you're all very welcome to join us. It's a lovely journey. There are a few graduates here. I'm happy to see each one of you. And yes, I wanted to say something else, but I don't remember. I remember. You said, Marianne, or someone else, about being who we are fully. Yeah, so there's something about we tend to make ourselves smaller in front of other people. And when we make ourselves smaller, we don't really trust them that they can be with us when we are there fully. So not only do we make them smaller, but we also make what can flourish between us smaller. To be who I am isn't to be more than I am. It's to be fully present. I used to withdraw in myself, not to be too much. But when we allow ourselves to be completely present, we also inspire the other person to be completely present. Instead of going and making ourselves smaller all the time. So SOF is all about what is happening between us. And even though we do the course and the other person doesn't, when we do it, it influences the whole relationship with our partner, with our neighbor, with wherever we want to bring these new skills. And we all benefit from it.
Can I say one thing? I apologize to break in like this, but every time I try
to who it is.
Can you hear me, Jan?
Now I can see you. Yeah, thank you.
Two things I want to say. First is I can't get on the chat. Every time I do, it kicks me out altogether. So I just wanted, if anybody is doing emails, I would love to connect. But the other thing I want to say is how I could just imagine Eugene Gendlin smiling from somewhere. Because this has just, I've been doing focusing for 30 years, but this has just expanded my horizons or my sense of what's possible. So I don't know how in those moments that you came with this, but I guess it's the thinking on the edge or something. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I have goosebumps. How do you say? Goose something.
Goosebumps.
Bumps. I almost went to goose pimples, and that sounds like a disease. Yeah, so yeah, really not only that we can be more than we are, our relationships can be more than they are, life can be more than we are, and we are here to live our life fully. In order to live our life fully, we need to know what we want, because our will or desire, our true deep one, connects us to what we are here to do in life. Like when I asked myself what do I want to my 50th birthday, the same answer came again and again. It was to be completely present in my life. I didn't know what it meant, but this was the beginning of the SOF. How can I be present in front of this person, So when something deep, when there's a deep wanting from within us, it always has some kind of a treasure, not only for us. So thank you, Jen. And Ula Stina, how are you?
I'm amazed to meet you again, Judith. And I've taken 2 courses to Judith 1 year ago or 2 years ago.
The first international group. You were the first international group.
The
first group in English.
Yeah. I have a background in existential psychotherapy. So I really connected to the thought behind, because to exist means to go out from, existere. It means to go out with what you are in the world. So this is a combination of focusing and existential psychotherapy for me. And I love it very much. And I just want to pop in again to see who I am now, and so on. And I'm happy to say I have been growing last year, and I very much like to promote Yehudit's courses, because this is what it all is about. We can't just stay inside and I mean, and the time is mature. We really, really, really work on this to be able to reach out and change our world in every levels we can. So I'm very much enthusiastic for your work, Judith. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, so as much as I would like to stay with all of you, and maybe I can, but Mel is, in charge of our time, and you probably all have things to do. With me, the day is over. It's 7:45 at night. No more things to do. And I really enjoyed meeting you all. And if you have questions, if you want to write to me about things you experienced here and you'd like to share with me, I'll be very happy. You are most welcome. It will take me a while to answer because it's in English and it takes me time, but I will get with the help of Google Translate. So, yeah.
I forgot to say, Yehudit, your English has improved a lot since last time.
I had 5 groups and 11 courses, and so in English. So
yeah.
English is getting better and better every day in every way.
Yeah.
Except for writing.
That was
So
wonderful.
thank you all very, very, very much.
Thank you. And we will include all of this. I know we went a little over time, and there's actually one more person who wants to ask a question.
Definitely.
So if you want to stay, great. And if not, I'll include the recording.
Yes.
Kim.
Thank you. I just want to appreciate what you're bringing forward. And I'm sort of keying off of, I think it was the person before, was it Joyce Rudd or who spoke? I discovered this space about 10 years ago when I was working with partners wanting to break the formality of turn taking in focusing. So I think it is, and I've looked at your website. I totally agree that focusing is missing something. And I want to add that you're doing something, adding your own particular, what we can do in the way space. And I think there's so much possibility of what we can do. I'm eager to take your course. But I also want to say this space is available for all of us to discover. And I think it's important that we don't just pin it on one person who can have this experience. But we can all, experience so much. And it's a total game changer, I think, going into the we space and the beyond space. I'll say that when I began practicing this way, I had rejected my fundamentalist Christianity upbringing. But then all of a sudden, this scripture flew into me during one of these, sessions. And it's Matthew 18:20, when 2 or more are gathered in my name, I am there. I don't think Christianity owns anything on this, but I think we are one body. All of that has sort of, what it's done for me is it brought me back to reconcile with my own traditions, which has been healing for me. So I just think there's so much power in this space. And I hope we all keep in touch with each other and keep discovering, all the ways that it can unfold. And I look forward to taking your level 1. Sorry, that was a little long.
Thank you. And I will just add that this last few months, we started SOF 3 and 4 with the first group and the second of social-oriented focusing. And each one of the students has a personal project, like Dorit, if I can say, is a speech therapist, and she teaches parents how to do SOF, I space, we space, etc. with their children, because it influences the way they can speak. And people really take them, and someone else is working with addicts, and she's taking the SOF to working with addicts that replace relationship with chomarim, with whatever, with alcohol or with and every participant takes it to wherever they want to explore it, and we all have place in the world. So thank you, Kim, very much. And Rosia, you're saying goodbye?
No. Actually, I wanted to say something. Could I?
Yes, definitely.
How often are you do you see yourself presenting this? Because I'm working towards retirement right now and I'm not free at those times at that much. And I'd really like to take it. So I'm wondering how often you're going to be doing it.
So send me a mail with your name, etc., and I will let you know. I usually don't do it very often.
Yeah.
Tiffy, I did a year ago. I did January 19th. I did a webinar, or what you call it, and a month later I did 2-week workshops on the same topic.
Yeah.
And this is the second time.
Okay.
I'm doing these classes in English only since previous October, not the last October, the one before. So, but as Tina said, my English is improving.
You don't have a book on this, right?
No, not in any language.
Yes.
We need to experience this. We have to learn through experience. Whoops.
My excuse is that it's still being created, but because of the English classes, it's not just happening. It needs to be written because I need to be tidy and give the pages before the lesson. So eventually, I hope something will be written, and maybe all the projects of my students will be able to be part of the book, showing how it can be woven into actual life in the world.
Yes. I look forward to getting the printouts from today.
Oh, here's a question.
Yes.
What do you think about someone who hasn't had focusing taking your course?
So I will tell you the truth. I tried a few times with people that didn't learn focusing, that came from mindfulness, or were treated with focusing. In my experience, they were busy thinking and I forgot the word, interpreting and giving advice, which is a no-no. So what is possible, that what I came to some kind of agreement with my assistant, Anita, she's English, her English is superb, that she will give short focusing courses so that the people will have the foundation, because we don't really do the proper focusing, but it's the ability to connect inwards and not stay above our chin.
Right. Okay, very good. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So it was lovely meeting you, and I hope to see you again. And don't be shy, send me your emails and I'll let you know what's coming.